container ships up to 400 meters in length, currents of up to 8 kilometers an hour, current measurements at a depth of 12 meters. Container ships up to 400 meters long regularly sail into the Port of Hamburg. That's a huge logistical and safety challenge because, of course, these massive ships have to dock, and to do so they have to be turned and maneuvered safely. Absolutely nothing is left to chance. One of the biggest challenges, the currents of the tidal lower Elbe. At a length of 400 meters, you effectively have this huge lever that the harbour currents act upon. That's why we take measurements, so that a decision can be made as to whether the manoeuvre can be carried out safely. You can imagine the catastrophic consequences if a manoeuvre goes wrong with a 400-meter ship. The Port of Hamburg is an open tidal port, so the current comes from different directions, sometimes from Hamburg, sometimes from the direction of the North Sea. These currents have to be taken into account when manoeuvring ships. That's why regular current measurements are carried out by the HPA team. And it's very important here that we always line up with the profiles or measuring sections as well as we can, because the aim is to have reproducible results. We have to adjust our speed and make sure we don't make major deviations. And of course, you also have to make sure you don't drift off course if the current suddenly changes. So it's a very, very demanding job. There's a grid distributed over the entire measuring area, and over the course of a complete tide, the team passes over them in chronological order to measure current velocity and direction. There are also measuring devices located deep in the Elbe. So here we have a pile wall below the water level, and our current meter is fixed on the pile wall at a depth of about 12 meters below mean sea level. It's attached to a bracket on the pile wall at the front and then measures the flow approximately here in cross-section. The river here is about 400 meters wide. Our device measures up to about 300 meters away, and we can also measure individual segments. This is also really important because we often identify different current speeds in different segments across the cross-section.
Über den Querschnitt in gewissen Segmenten durchaus unterschiedliche Geschwindigkeiten messen.
A change of location to the Hamburg Port Authority's hydrology department. This is where all measurements and information pertaining to the waters of the port and river are collected, analysed and processed. This also includes the key Parkhafen, which connects the lower Elbe with the Waltershof port. We create animated flow films of harbour areas, which you can see here, for example. This is the Parkhafen right now. This is effectively the end result of a measurement trip across several profiles, and you can see how the flow pattern in these harbour areas develops with the incoming tide. And the special thing about it is that you don't just have one direction. In areas of the port like the Parkhafen, back eddies and vortices develop. And of course, that's of major nautical relevance for container ships. Nothing is left to chance for safe shipping in the Port of Hamburg.
Port is what we do. Port is what we do. Port is what we do.